Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. Several things, several stories every single day here together. Even during the World Cup, there is movement, there is news, and so we jump into it together, restarting with all the very latest. And we have to restart from the breaking news of the last evening. Sandro Tonali to Tottenham Hotspur. Everything is 100% confirmed. Sandro Tonali will be today set to travel to London together with his agents for medical tests and contract signing. So today will be Sandro Tonali day at Tottenham Hotspur. Yesterday, Matheus Fernandes traveled to London for a medical test, all completed. Remember that Tottenham will invest for Matheus Fernandes £85 million, and today Sandro Tonali and his agents will be in London to complete a £92.5 million guaranteed fee move plus £7.5 million, so £100 million for Sandro Tonali. Player in London, and here we go, 100% confirmed. Talking about midfielders, guys, we have to mention a couple of things to clarify some situations, not only on midfielder in general, but also midfielders. One name I want to mention today and I want to bring to the table is Morten Hjulmand. Morten Hjulmand from Sporting is one of the most appreciated midfielders around Europe, and now Atletico Madrid are really pushing to get a deal done with Sporting. They have an agreement in principle. Atletico Madrid, agents of the player and player himself, because Morten Hjulmand is keen on a move to La Liga. There was also interest from Premier League, from Serie A, but Atletico Madrid are pushing to anticipate all the clubs and to go for Morten Hjulmand. So work in progress on this one. Athletic could add one more player to the squad after Alejandro Grimaldo and the negotiations for Kangin Lee from Paris Saint-Germain. And then talking about midfielders, many questions about Eduardo Camavinga situation. New reports coming from Spain about Manchester City. Many stories always about Camavinga. We started the market on Camavinga and Man United, then we had Camavinga and Juventus, then we had Camavinga and Inter, now we have Camavinga and Man City. Let me clarify one thing. Eduardo Camavinga has a very clear intention, and he communicated that to his agents. He wants to stay at Real Madrid. He wants to play for Real Madrid. He wants to be part of Real Madrid's squad next season. He doesn't want to leave Real Madrid after a bad season. He's still very young. He feels he can have a future, a career at Real Madrid. So Eduardo Camavinga doesn't want to leave the club. Eduardo Camavinga believes he's been unlucky last season because obviously it's been poor. He understands that was not at Real Madrid level, but at the same time, the red card in Munich, some bad moments in La Liga, the injury, and so not going to the World Cup. So in several things, Eduardo Camavinga had problems. But Camavinga wants to stay, wants to fight for his place, and wants to try to convince Jose Mourinho. Then, the reality is that Real Madrid would be open to selling Camavinga. So if Real Madrid receive a proposal, Real Madrid open doors to the exit of Camavinga. But the point is that the player doesn't want to go. So there are two ways here. Or Camavinga ends up staying, fighting for his place and trying to convince Mourinho, or Real Madrid decided to go to Camavinga and say, okay, find a new club because we don't want you here. At the moment, this second option has not happened. So Real Madrid didn't go to Camavinga to tell him you have to leave. So let's see what's going to happen there. At the moment on Manchester City, I don't have a confirmation about any proposal or any advanced negotiation. It's just something that Manchester City know that Real Madrid could open doors to the exit of Camavinga, and Manchester City are opening to the possibility of signing one more midfielder after Elliot Anderson, but at the moment, that's the situation around Camavinga. Depends on the player. We have to understand if Camavinga at some point of the window, there are 8 weeks of summer transfer window, if Camavinga at some point decides to go and decides to open doors or not. So, on Real Madrid, something else to mention today, guys. Many questions, once again, on Alessandro Bastoni. It's true that Real Madrid are signing Bastoni. It's true that Real Madrid are close to Bastoni. It's true that Bastoni is the top target for Real Madrid. On this one, guys, I told you 2 days ago, I can repeat today. I know there are fresh rumors, but from what I'm told, first of all, Real Madrid wants to focus now on exits. So Real Madrid are not just adding players on players on players. They already signed many players. So they need exits. Raúl Asensio is one of the players who could leave. But at the moment, also in this case, the player hopes to stay. So it has to be a good proposal. Otherwise, the Asensio situation depends on bids. And then for Alessandro Bastoni, the appreciation is obvious for one of the best defenders in the world. But in this moment between Real Madrid and Inter, there have been zero contacts. Zero negotiations, zero bids. So nothing happening right now between Bastoni and Real Madrid. If Real Madrid arrive, I will come here to the channel and I will update you. But at the moment, Real Madrid have not reached out for Alessandro Bastoni. That's the status of the story. Then, as we are talking about Real Madrid, I keep receiving questions on Michael Olise's situation. There are reports from Germany, several stories also on Florentino Perez. They were at an event today, Florentino Perez and the president of Bayern. Someone told Florentino, sign Olise, sign Olise. Florentino was smiling and then said something to the Bayern president. The reality, guys, is that apart from these funny moments, these normal moments between human beings, not just the president of Real Madrid or the president of Bayern, the reality is that I always told you the obsession and the favorite player of Florentino Perez in terms of potential signings is Michael Olise. The player wanted by Florentino Perez ideally for Real Madrid is and remains Michael Olise. Then Bayern have no intention to sell. Bayern want to keep Olise, Bayern want to offer Olise a new contract. So that's the point, that Bayern want to continue with Olise. But Real Madrid have never stopped thinking about Michael Olise. The real Galactico in Florentino Perez's mind was Olise and not any other player, not even Julian Alvarez. The number one of the list was Michael Olise. Now, depends on what happens with Bayern, depends on what happens with the player. At the moment, Bayern keep insisting on their desire to keep the player, but obviously, in any case, I will keep you posted on absolutely everything. But there is no doubt about Florentino Perez considering Olise a superstar, a player he would love to bring to Real Madrid. But again, we have to respect Bayern on this. Two more stories for today, guys. One is about Jurgen Klopp. I told you in a video 24 hours ago, Jurgen Klopp is a concrete candidate to become the new head coach of the German national team, and I maintain my information. Now the news is everywhere, but I maintain that Jurgen Klopp would be open to taking the job as new Germany head coach. So if the federation decided to sack Julian Nagelsmann and not to part ways, because Nagelsmann wants to stay, if the federation decide for him to go, if the federation decide to fire Nagelsmann, in that case, the name of Jurgen Klopp would be the main name in mind to become the next head coach of the German national team, Nations League, Euros and Mission World Cup 2030. And then out of Germany, coming to England, one more, here we go, Basumana Touré. This winger, 21 years old, coming from Hoffenheim, interesting player, Ivorian, who is joining Newcastle. Deal done for £42 million. This is the transfer fee. Deal agreed with the agents of the player, deal agreed with Hoffenheim, and so new winger is coming to Newcastle. They reinvest the money. They sold Anthony Gordon, they sold Sandro Tonali, and they reinvest on Basumana Touré. On these guys and much more, let me know, as always, your opinion here in the comments. Remember, guys, to like this video, to turn on the notification bell, to subscribe to the channel every single day. We are here together on keep you posted on absolutely everything. And so I will see you in the next days. Let me know your opinion on all these topics here in the comments. Thank you. See you soon. Ciao.
Arsenal prepare for goalkeeper shortlist as Kepa eyes summer departure. Arsenal are exploring several goalkeeper options after Kepa Arrizabalaga reportedly informed the club that he wants to leave this summer in pursuit of regular first-team football. Team Talk understands that the Gunners have already identified 4 experienced candidates who could replace the Spaniard. Kepa, now 31, joined Arsenal last summer after the club activated the £5 million release clause in his Bournemouth contract. He accepted the move to North London knowing he would compete with David Raya for the starting role, bringing valuable experience to Mikel Arteta's squad. Although Kepa was prepared to begin as Raya's backup, he remained hopeful of earning more opportunities throughout the season. However, Raya continued his exceptional form, firmly establishing himself as Arsenal's undisputed first-choice goalkeeper while claiming the Premier League Golden Glove for the second consecutive campaign. As a result, Kepa's playing time was extremely limited. Most of his appearances came in domestic cup competitions and European fixtures, while he started only one Premier League match. Overall, he featured just 12 times during the 2025/26 season. Sources now indicate that the former Chelsea shotstopper has informed Arsenal of his desire to move on this summer so he can once again become a regular number 1 goalkeeper. Arsenal are believed to understand his situation and would be open to selling him if they receive an offer that meets their valuation. Interest in Kepa is already growing across Italy. Juventus and Napoli are among the clubs monitoring his situation closely, with both sides making initial inquiries about a possible transfer. Reports suggest the Italian giants are prepared to offer a fee that would allow Arsenal to make a profit on the £5 million they spent just 1 year ago. With Kepa expected to depart, Arsenal have stepped up their search for an experienced backup to challenge and support David Raya. One of the leading names on the club's shortlist is former Leeds United goalkeeper Ilan Meslier, who is currently available as a free agent. The 26-year-old has attracted interest from several European clubs, although it remains unclear whether he would be willing to accept a backup role after spending most of his career as a first-choice goalkeeper. The Gunners are also considering veteran Swiss international Jan Sommer, whose wealth of experience makes him an attractive option. Former Arsenal goalkeeper Matthew Ryan is another candidate under review. The Australian international spent last season with Levante and could offer a familiar and affordable solution if the club decides to bring him back. Meanwhile, Arsenal's recruitment team also admires Stefan Ortega. The experienced German goalkeeper recently became available after departing Nottingham Forest following his spell with Manchester City, and his extensive Premier League experience makes him another reliable option. Arsenal's main objective is to ensure David Raya continues to face strong competition while maintaining quality depth in the goalkeeping department. Although everything depends on Kepa's expected departure, the club are already working behind the scenes to identify the right replacement. With interest from Serie A continuing to grow and Arsenal actively evaluating potential successors, Kepa's time at the Emirates appears increasingly likely to end after just one season. Newcastle worry. Arsenal could land Bruno Guimarães if Tottenham complete Tonali deal. Newcastle United are reportedly becoming increasingly anxious about the possibility of losing Bruno Guimarães this summer, with Arsenal preparing a major move for the Brazilian midfielder. The Magpies are already facing the prospect of Sandro Tonali leaving after Tottenham Hotspur stepped up their pursuit of the Italy international. Tottenham have already had one offer turned down but remain determined to complete the transfer. The North London club have reportedly agreed personal terms with Tonali, while sources indicate a fresh bid worth around £90 million has now been submitted. Newcastle are desperate to avoid losing both Tonali and Guimarães during the same transfer window, which would represent a huge setback for Eddie Howe's side. According to journalist Lee Ryder of The Chronicle, there is growing concern inside Newcastle that club captain Bruno Guimarães could become the next big-name player to depart. The report claims Arsenal previously tested Newcastle's resolve with an informal £45 million approach for the 28-year-old. However, the Gunners are believed to feel that an offer in the region of £65 million could be enough, especially as Guimarães has just 2 years remaining on his current contract. It is understood the Brazilian has reservations about Newcastle's long-term project, and Arsenal believe that uncertainty could strengthen their chances of convincing him to move to the Emirates. Team Talk transfer insider Graham Bailey previously revealed that Arsenal have held extensive discussions with Guimarães' representatives. Feedback from those talks has reportedly been very encouraging, with confidence growing that the midfielder would be open to joining Arsenal after the World Cup if the two clubs can reach an agreement. Manchester City also continue to monitor Guimarães closely. The Premier League champions admired the midfielder before he joined Newcastle from Lyon in 2022 and have remained interested in his development ever since. With Guimarães currently showing no intention of extending his contract, both Arsenal and Manchester City could look to take advantage of the situation. Despite the growing speculation, Newcastle remain determined to keep hold of one of their most influential players. Speaking to Team Talk, Graham Bailey explained that the club are making it clear no major departure will happen without their approval. Newcastle are fully aware of the speculation and the stories surrounding their players, but they remain firmly in control of the situation. Nobody will leave unless the club agrees to it. Bailey added that Tonali appears more likely to secure a move if Tottenham or another interested club meets Newcastle's asking price, but the same flexibility does not currently apply to Guimarães or several other key members of the squad. Regarding the Brazilian captain, Bailey explained that Newcastle have spent months attempting to negotiate a new contract, although progress has been slow. According to Bailey, Guimarães is reluctant to commit his future if he believes the club are entering a rebuilding phase. While the midfielder has concerns about Newcastle's current direction, the club remain confident that their summer recruitment plans will convince him they are still capable of competing at the highest level rather than starting over. With Arsenal continuing to monitor the situation closely, attention now turns to whether the Gunners will submit an official offer. Although reports suggest Newcastle could consider bids around £65 million, it remains uncertain whether the club would ultimately agree to sell one of their most important players at that price.